Hello, I'm Donna Rodriguez, Director of Creative Media Services for PACTV. I want to thank our candidates for participating in this forum and the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce for partnering with us to bring informational programming to residents and voters this election season. I'm joined tonight by Bob Nolet, the Director of Communications and Events for the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. We're going to be acting as the moderators for this forum. Let me take a moment to explain to you the format. Our two candidates who are running for Board of Selectmen in the town of Plymouth, Lynch and Ken Tavares, will be participating in this forum. Each candidate will be introduced at the beginning in alphabetical order, and they're going to have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, speak about who they are, why they're running for this elected office, as well as describing their qualifications for this position.
The candidates will then be asked a series of questions relating to local issues. We will be rotating in order which each candidate answers the questions presented to ensure fair and equal opportunities. PACTV created a survey on its website for Plymouth residents to submit questions for the candidates, which was promoted through the Chamber, social media, community businesses, and organizations. The goal was simply to solicit feedback about the most important issues facing the town at this time and solicit direct questions to the candidates. Responses were tallied, and the most often stated questions and/or topics were selected for tonight's forum. The participants in tonight's forum have not been informed of the topics for the questions in advance.
Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. At the end of the forum, each candidate will also have the opportunity to give closing remarks. For closing remarks, candidates can choose their topics. Closing remarks will also be held to that 2-minute response. It's important to know that this is not a debate. It's an opportunity for the candidates to let voters know where they stand on certain issues. And particularly since these questions came from our voters and our residents, we're happy to be able to just be the forum to bring it to the candidates. So thank you for joining us. And gentlemen, are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Sure. Excellent. We are going to start with your opportunity to introduce yourself. You each have 2 minutes. You have a timer right in front of you. We will remind you if you get to the end of the time. And Mr. Lynch, you are first this evening.
Yes. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Lynch. I would like you to consider me as the candidate that you would elect for the Board of Selectmen position that's coming up right now. And I would like to go and make sure that you folks understand what I'm looking for, what I'd like to do here in Plymouth. Transparency, accountability, and integrity. Now, those are 3 issues that you really don't hear too much about in local government, state government, or federal government. And I'd like to change that. Transparency involves communication. Now, unfortunately, there's not a tremendous amount of communication that goes on in the town, because I always say, go to the town website. I propose we change that. At the same time I'm going to go and propose something that I think should happen. I would like to call upon the collective brain power of the Plymouth citizens to be able to go and address various issues. For instance, on a rotating basis within 1 month, first week you address taxes, second sewer, third roads, fourth you take a week off, then you come back the next month, taxes, sewer, roads, take a week off, taxes, sewer, roads. But not just the 5 Board of Selectmen or the 135 town meeting members. I would like to call upon the citizens of Plymouth to collectively go up to the shallop room, 4th floor, big table, 3 cameras, 3 microphones, and then we attack these problems head on without relying upon an elected, perhaps dare I call it, elite. And I'm part of that elite. I don't know all the answers. I have come across fantastic answers from the citizens of Plymouth. I'd like you to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. And Mr. Tavares, you're next. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Ken Tavares, and I am a candidate for re-election to the Board of Selectmen. I would like to give some information about myself. I attended Plymouth schools and Bentley College. Upon completion of school, I went into the Navy and served in the United States Navy for 4 years with an honorable discharge in 1971. My career then took me into the banking world, where I was a commercial lender in the local area. Service to the community on the government basis included being a town meeting member, a member of the Advisory and Finance Committee, the Board of Selectmen, and other numerous special committees that were formed for specific purposes. I have had the opportunity to be on a number of boards in this community, ranging from the Red Cross to the Pilgrim Society. I am looking forward to another term, if so elected, because I think that Plymouth has a phenomenal future ahead of us. Thank you.
And thank you, gentlemen. And I'm going to turn it over to Bob for question number 1.
People who choose to run for the Board of Selectmen are willing to take on huge commitment and time and energy to serve their town and its residents. Candidates typically have a keen interest in how their town operates and intimately are aware of their town's strengths and needs. This question has 2 parts. Number 1, what do you see as Plymouth's biggest needs or challenges today? And number 2, how are you uniquely able to assist in tackling these needs or challenges? Ken, would you like to begin?
Yes, I think that one of the main concerns that we have right now is revenue and what are the sources of new revenue for the community. The common concern that I have is if we're going to have escalating taxes, how can we offset that other than using the property tax? And I think that now the current board is working towards, with our senior staff, looking at options that are available to us, and I think there's some great potential out there.
Great, thank you. Kevin.
Well, as I said, with the roundtable discussions I'd like to have up at the Shallop Room, 4th floor, Mr. Tavares went and said the first thing, taxes. I want to attack the taxes. The difference is I am not going to go and just keep all of the information discussion within the board or even within town hall or, dare I say, even within the town meeting members. That's 140 people. We have a tremendous amount of brain power in Plymouth, and by gosh, the one thing I want to do is draw upon that, because you never know. I have walked the town day after day, night after night, looking around, meeting people, basically talking ideas, and then finding out that there's a little nugget that people have out there, that if we don't open ourselves up to those citizens that we are supposed to serve, not frustrate, they come with ideas. And it's like, as I see with federal, state, and again local, they're there, that's okay. We don't need to hear you, because after all, we were elected and we are, perhaps, dare I say, and it's a little bit on the arrogant side, we are above you. We have the answers. We have the brain power. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a definition of what you call a mutual admiration society, because they go around, yep, we're doing a great job. And if they only talk to the town officials and amongst themselves, they actually convince themselves that they're doing a great job. But yet you hear the citizens out there, why? And so please, open ourselves up to the citizens in Plymouth. Roundtable discussions, 4th floor, Shallop Room. Let's get it done.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lynch. And moving on to question number 2. The question of the most appropriate form of governance for the town of Plymouth has been a much debated topic for years. Representative town meeting or a mayoral form of government supported by a town council. Charter review committees have been appointed multiple times to review this, and there is a committee seated right now to review the charter and to consider, among other things, the most appropriate form of government for the largest town in our Commonwealth. In your opinion, this is a 3-part question. In your opinion, 1, and we will repeat this if you would like us to in between, what are the pros and cons for both forms of government for the town of Plymouth? Number 2, what are the primary issues you feel need to be considered in this ongoing discussion? And number 3, and if you're willing to share it, where do you stand on this issue overall? And for question number 2, we're going to be starting with Mr. Lynch.
You're going to have to definitely repeat those. Because,
okay, do you want me to repeat it right now?
No. As we're going along. Do I have to answer all 3 at once within the 2 minutes?
Within the 2 minutes, yes.
Okay. I can't do that. The best thing I can do is okay, you could, that's another. Here we go, the Shallop Room. Let's get right in front of the cameras. Let's get the people, let's put their ideas down. 1 minute they get to present it. They put a piece of paper down, why they believe the mayoral form of government is better. form of government is better. At the same time, 1 minute, why the town meeting is better. And personally speaking, I look at town meeting, it's much more personal. I look at the mayoral form of government, it's impersonal. And I favor the town meeting form of government, but yet it's under siege, as I told the committee of precinct chairs. It's under siege, and there really wasn't that much of a response, and yet people are dying for it. So what I say, it's under siege because there's a lack of innovation. And I'm also going to say this, it is too unwieldy. I think 135 is much too large. You have five town meeting reps per precinct, that brings it down to 75. You then have them meeting once a month, and the citizens in that precinct know that they are there. I'm precinct 13. I should go up there once a month at the West Elementary School, and everybody should know it's there. And then the other thing is that we haven't even accessed the social media. Facebook Live is something that we should be putting in place so that people can actually have quick feedback. They can actually tune in. You have this younger crowd. There they are on their phones. They can go and come up with even ideas as we speak at the particular caucus. Town meeting form of government, slim it down, slim and trim, as they say. It's gotten too big, too unwieldy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lynch. And Mr. Tavares, number one, what do you see as the pros and cons of both forms of government? Number two, what are the primary issues you think need to be considered in this ongoing discussion? And number three, if you're willing to share it, what is your personal opinion?
Great. Well, there are certainly pros and cons to both forms of government. Town meeting, it involves more people. There's the opportunity for more participation. I think if you want a faster form of government, then you would look at a mayor and a council. The biggest advantage that I hear from citizens when we talk about how we're governed right now is that there's an opportunity for a number of people to participate rather than narrowing it down to a small council and a mayor. I think the primary issues that when you're talking about this that you have to deal with is what does the community want? Right now there is a charter review, but it's the purpose of it is to recommend, and they will come back to the town in October, is to recommend minor changes. If you want to look at having a complete change in the new form of government, then you have to form a charter commission and elect commissioners. This has been done in the past and has not been accepted by the community to date. The review process is important. I think that we do have to review how do we want to be governed, and do we want more people involved. Right now, I think that this particular form of government is working, but again, it's the constant review that needs to take place, and the community has to make its feelings known, which in the past that has been done. So, and right now there are people that are looking to change that, and there is a process to do it.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to turn it over to Bob for question number 3.
So tourism is the #1 industry in Plymouth. The town of Plymouth uses rooms taxes paid by visitors to support marketing efforts and events that ultimately bring more visitors and more money to the town. What do you see as the most important issues facing the tourism and hospitality industry in the town of Plymouth? And as a town official, how do you see yourself playing a part in supporting this industry, its partners, and the local businesses? Ken, would you like to begin?
Thank you. For the last couple of years, I have said time and time again that tourism is the industry of Plymouth. And we have made remarkable changes from where we were 20, 25 years ago on how we're greeting the tourists and how we're actually making the visit much more beneficial to the tourists. I think that we need to convince the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that tourism is important, and to actually assist us in getting more people visiting the state. The figures are well known that it's in the millions of dollars for communities, the dollars that can be generated by tourism, and there's much more that we can do. Plymouth has awakened to that. I see local groups banding together and making the experience even better, and I think that as a selectman, it's my responsibility to certainly aid these people in this business. I've often said Disney has to make the stuff that we have. It's here, it's natural in Plymouth, it's the place to be. And I believe that with the 400th anniversary coming up, we have a wonderful opportunity to get on the international stage and show how good Plymouth is.
Great, thank you. Kevin, would you like me to repeat the question?
Basically, no, that's fine. You're talking about tourism, and I strongly believe in it. And the thing is that, once again, we're looking to the town officials to come up with this plan, and I still cannot fathom why it is that there's this collaboration and we're excluding the citizens, which have a tremendous brain power. I'll say this also about tourism. You know, we had buildings that were part of this town, and somehow or other our vision shrank and we let them go to builders who actually saw value. The Armory is gone. It's no longer part of Plymouth. The Registry of Deeds is gone. It's no longer part of Plymouth. We tore down the County Commissioner's building. It's gone. The old police station up top, that's gone. Mount Pleasant School, that's gone. When are we going to stop whittling away at our identity? Now on the block is Lincoln Street. And I'll say this, what we should be able to do is have the tourists come here to Plymouth and think, Plymouth is a walking kind of town. And we should have satellite parking. We should have a garage right down there at Citizens Bank. We should just dig right into there and not back away that it's an underground garage. We should be able to go, once again, I'm going to beat this like a dead horse. The shallop room, roundtable discussions, why are we excluding, again, all the people that could have better ideas than the actual town hall? And the one thing I don't want to rely upon is the State House from Boston. All I see, those people there, they are so dysfunctional. I don't even want a sniff of them coming down here. William Bradford never looked from England to get some sort of help. What he did, he just looked at everybody and he says, okay, folks, it's time to tighten our belts and time to work harder. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And moving on to question number 4, given that the hospitality and tourism industry is the #1 industry in Plymouth, it would make sense that a courteous, reliable workforce is needed to staff the attractions, the hotels, and the restaurants, as well as all of the other important businesses, retail operations, service organizations, non-profits, and healthcare providers that support this community and its residents. Yet there's a significant shortage of workforce housing in Plymouth. Currently, it costs 54% more to live in Plymouth on average than in the rest of the United States. What do you think can and should be done to support and provide housing that is attainable across all economic brackets? And for this question, we'll be starting with you, Mr. Lynch.
Well, this one, I am stumped. I am totally stumped because I have no idea. And as I would tell my students in class, by the way, 30-year plus veteran teacher here in Massachusetts, plus another 5 years. Whenever a student asks me a question I don't know the answer to, I say, well, I tell you what, I'll research it, get back to you, hope you can trust me. Or, dare I say, I would go to the student, I would say, why don't you research it? And all those in favor say aye, and the majority of the class says yes, and the student and they will go back and they'll research it. This is really a policy wonk kind of issue, and I don't know how to answer it. I don't, and people look for quick answers for something like this, dare I say, once again. I think there's a lack of strategic planning, perhaps not only in this town, but also in the state. Could we or should we have started this? I ran into a young lady about 1.5 years ago, and that's the one thing because she knew I was in politics, please help me, please help me. I didn't know what to do. And do you think I can go to town hall and find an answer? I'm sorry, it's difficult. And I'm a town meeting member. There's no discussions that people can kind of weigh in on or say, hey, what about this or what about that? And then here, we're going to have a sit-down discussion and we're going to get people to the table. Hello, Mr. Macedo, as well as Mr. Muratori. They should be there at the shallop room and says, what are you doing? What are your solutions? And I hope they just don't put their hands together and twiddle their thumbs. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a tough nut to crack. Don't look to me for answers because I don't have it. But I know it's out there. I would love to be able to meet the people that do have those answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Tavares, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I understand the question.
Okay.
We have actually started on trying to make changes to workforce housing. As a matter of fact, as late as this afternoon, I had a good discussion with Representative Muratori as to what the requirements are to qualify for workforce housing. In the past couple of weeks, I've met with the chairman of the planning board, and we're planning to have a meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board to talk about it and continue discussions that we have had publicly in regards to workforce housing. The greatest crime that could take place in Plymouth is that our young people that have been brought up in this community, if they want to stay here, would not have the opportunity because of the high cost of housing. Part of the problem is that the requirements that in regards to income and what qualifies for a workforce housing program is too high. We need to lower it. You can't expect that you're going to qualify for workforce housing and you're in the $100,000 area. We need to get that lowered. Representative Muratori, the senator, I believe, are very interested in doing this. And with the help of the planning board that sees these developments for the first time, I think that we're starting on a road, and it's one that has to be changed and changed at a level even higher than the town.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Bob for question number 5.
Parking and transportation are two other important and much debated issues for the town. We are not effectively meeting the needs of our current and potential visitors, and the International Plymouth 400 celebration is only 2 short years away. We are going to be dealing with a level of visitation possibly never experienced. What are your thoughts on the following? What do you believe are the current challenges in providing increased in-town transportation and parking? And what roles does the Board of Selectmen play in solving these problems? And what would be your next steps? Ken, if you'd like to begin.
Well, we certainly have identified the problem, and it's been one that Plymouth has had for a long time. You know, our challenges were caught between the ocean and the higher hills in this community. And to bring a tourist into the town, down to the waterfront, the busiest area, and say, find a place to park, we're going to try to show you something about the town, and get to keep you here for a couple of days is darn near impossible. People from the 400th are working towards looking for outside lots where we can start to move people around through public transportation. That is only for specific events. I think that our attention needs to turn towards parking areas that are outside the main business area, where we make it very convenient for you to leave your vehicle, get on public transportation, and do the entire town. Then come back, pick it up, get to your hotel, and maybe spend the second day looking at the various parks and walking trails that we have. The problem is one that is going to take a group effort of the Board of Selectmen, the Planning Board, and the parking group that it has formed. Parking garages are not inexpensive, and as a matter of fact, we've had one pending for a couple of years because federal dollars weren't available. The town had put up its money, the state had its money put up, and then we couldn't get the GATRA money that was supposed to be coming forward. I think that there's more that we can do, and it's starting to take hold. 400 will actually push us into getting things done much, much faster. We're going to start to see part of this come with the parking deck that's going up and the potential for the new garage that would be in what is referred to as the old IGA parking area.
Great, thank you. Kevin.
So the issue is parking. The issue is tourists. It didn't all of a sudden drop in our laps today. There should have been thoughts long time ago. There should have been concrete plans. Dare I say there should have been collaboration amongst the brain power that's in Plymouth, and there's got to be people that really are a lot sharper than I am. That's the one thing I do know. Even my students, some of them come up with some good ideas. And satellite parking should have investigated a long time ago, and dare I say, it should have been in the pipeline now. This is 2018. We should have had it in place now, not at some point. And that Plymouth 400 is not going to push us because that is an entity. I don't even know what it is. So lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, we're caught between a rock and a hard place. And I also am going to say this, is that I would almost say, I say go to Plymouth North High School, go to Plymouth South High School, and drop this problem in their lap. They are going to research, they're going to attack it, they're going to come up with some good ideas because they got quick, pliable minds, young, and then we'll get something what's called a return on investment. Because what's missing is innovation. Well, how do you get innovation? Collaboration. How do you get collaboration? You bring people together. And again, you know where I'd like to have that happen. So folks, let's just go and start to attack this because we've had this problem a long time. And where is that strategic plan that was in place? And it should have been implemented 5 years ago. I'll grant you that. 3 years ago. Grant you that. What about 2 years ago? Why are we here at 2018 and we still don't have a vision as to how it's going to occur? I'd like to see that change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And moving on, our next question. The majority of the questions we received from viewers and residents were related to tax rates and revenues. It included comments and questions about residential versus commercial tax income, as well as increased revenues to replace the monies that will go away when the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Plant closes. So what do you believe are the next best steps to bring more revenue to this town? And we'll start with you, Kevin.
Well, after having read a biography about William Bradford, who was a tremendous leader, they faced unbelievable adversity, and I honestly believe that the town officials, there should be almost like a quiz, a short workshop. How did they attack these problems? The adversity they faced was phenomenal. And in this day and age, we would have a lot of people that would want to go home and they'd want to go and say, oh, please, please, please. What did they do? They stuck it out, they pulled their belt tighter, and they sacrificed. So now, Plymouth Nuclear Power Plant goes off. And I'm just going to go and throw it out there. $7 million. What happens if we took $7 million out of the budget that we now have? Of $219 million for 2019, that's about a 3% cut. And I do not want the school committee or the school department to take the only cut for the town. And I'm going to say is that the whole town, all 11 departments plus the school department, they should do something called a self-audit. It's done in private business all the time. And where can you cut back 3%? Well, we don't need this printer over here because we can share it. Well, we could do this. I was talking to a woman at a bank, and that's exactly what they do. I say we should do a self-audit in this town, and we should be looking to cut 3%, which really means we should have level funding next year. That would send shockwaves through the whole town. But yet, I think William Bradford has the leadership to be able to go and sell that and have them do it. I realize they also had no way to get back to England very quickly, but I believe Plymouth can do it also because we have good stock. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ken, you have 2 minutes. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I'm fine. I believe that what we have to do is look at new revenue sources. It isn't just cutting. I go around the town, speak to many people on any one week, and when you ask them, what do you want cut? They tell you, no, I don't want to cut the police department. I don't want a fire station closed. I want to support the schools where we're going. So when you talk about $7 million, it isn't a copier that's going to do that. It's going to have to be deeper cuts that you would make into the community. And when people come back and say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to cut it. I think where our concentration has to be is what are the revenue sources that we can start to look at? And that is a direction that we're going in now. You can cut $10 million out of the budget, but it's going to be painful. And someone's going to say, not in my neighborhood. You're not going to do that. We have a certain lifestyle in this community, and the government provides the services. And when you come down to saying, what do you want to give up? You do not get answers.
Thank you, and that actually leads us directly into the next question. I'll turn it over to Bob for that as a follow-up.
With your knowledge of the town budget and line items, should the town experience challenges or not be able to bring additional diversified funding, where would you make cuts in the budget? And how would you explain those choices to your constituents? Ken, would you like to begin?
Well, I think I've already answered the question, and that is that the only you can take each department, and you have to include schools. You would have to include schools, police, fire, DPW, and you would do this certainly in conjunction with community meetings, and saying, what do you want to do without in this community? You can sit, at a desk, and you can make those cuts, and you can present it. But I can tell you right now, they won't pass town meeting. So, if we're going to cut out of the existing budget, that's going to take a number of meetings that will have to get a consensus in this community. And to date, and we've seen this at town meeting, when it gets to that point, they say no. They're not going to do it.
Okay. Thank you. Kevin.
Yes, I feel that's very unfortunate that we live in a day and age where, oh, no, don't touch what I have. I was trained, I was brought up in a household of 5 kids on the middle of 5. My father was the only breadwinner. I realized a different time. But I also know that in our own personal budgets, we know when we're under pressure, we know where to cut. But why is it we cannot have the collective willpower? And my problem is, again, you have 135 town meeting members, and I'll bet you get them all around, and lo and behold, I just don't think it's a good way to do things. On the other hand, if you slim it down to 75, you have monthly meetings, and you go and tell the people straight out, this is the way it is. You go and have, we'll call it 8 weeks between reporting of the spending that's going on, the purchases that were made. Dare I say, there's some purchases that should not be made. I would also consult, again, do the self-audit, and we do not ask. Sure, we can ask the people in charge, the administrators, but guess what? I'm a lowly science teacher, and I know for a fact that I could run my school better than the administrators in some cases. I would want to leave the parents talking to the administrators, but you go to the grassroots, you go to the grunts, the people that are working in those trenches, and you can say, where should we cut? I'm sorry, folks. I mean, I've talked to some town workers, and they have some ideas themselves. Why can't we listen to them? Oh, no, we can't do that, because after all, the people in charge, they know everything. They don't. I have an administrator that were a teacher before. They don't really listen to teachers now. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to the next question. It's pretty straightforward. If you were to win the election as a member of the Board of Selectmen, what would your top 3 priorities be and why? I'm going to start with you, Mr. Lynch.
Well, top 3 priorities would be to get that shallop room roundtable discussions going. Next, I have been advocating for a couple of things through the Committee of Precinct Chairs. I presented it to the Board of Selectmen, but once again, you get bogged down. It's like, well, what should And they tend to want to go and kind of, just put a hook and drag you back. Here's the thing. Get that communication going. I would strongly, I would not use it as a bully pulpit, but I would use it as a small bully pulpit. Get the town meeting members meeting once a month, letting the people know, getting the communication out, I'm not talking about 50,000 pieces of literature. I'm talking about, maybe I think we can afford in $219. I think we could probably afford pamphlets of 1,000 and put them around town. And then, once again, we have Town Hall, a beautiful, beautiful place. You walk in, second floor, past where you pay the bills. There's the Freedom Meeting Room. I asked the Board of Selectmen to put a public information center there, and I was asked to identify what you want to put there. You put the budget there. You put all the different departments. You go and have updates continually. You have it staffed by town meeting members so that people can come in, they can meet their town meeting member, and the town meeting member can help them. could actually help them find their way around Town Hall, because I've seen many of people walking around Town Hall. Where do I go? It's not clearly marked. There should be a sign out front. And we ought to make it a little bit people-friendly. And remember, my thing is government is here to serve people, not frustrate people. But I think that's what people feel. There's a lot of angst out there, and come on, we can do better. WCDB. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ken, if you were reelected, what would your 3 top priorities be and why?
Well, the first one would be looking at the consolidation of various departments. I think that there's potential to work with the school department and bring together some of the departments that we have now to do the work within the town. Some of the early meetings have already started on that, and I think that there's a lot that we're going to be able to do in the next couple of years. I addressed revenue services a couple of times already in this discussion, and I think that that's important, and it's going to take more than the Board of Selectmen, but I think we can lead that charge as to, where can we find new sources. And I use the example of the new town hall, where the meals tax was used to pay for the construction of that building. I think we need to spend a little more attention on the infrastructure in the community, and I think we're going to have to sort of speed up the plans that we have to make some improvements in that area. And I have, I know you said 3, but the 4th to me is what kind of businesses do we as a community want to attract to Plymouth? I've mentioned that I think tourism is extremely important. Also, there's incubation of smaller businesses that we can do, and I think that with the group that the Chamber has formed, where we have the colleges sitting down and talking together, I think we are just at the beginning of looking at ourselves, and I wish I was going to be here 50 years from now, where Plymouth might be a good college town and for higher education.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to turn it over to Bob for the final question and then for closing remarks as well.
Aside from this race and your interest in serving the town of Plymouth, what initiatives, programs, or projects have you been a part of that speak to your character and tell us a bit more about what's important to you? Ken.
That's a good question. I think that since 1971, I have devoted a great deal of my time to the community, because I absolutely love this community. I think that we have potential even today that is untapped, and we're now approaching our 400th anniversary, and we're going to be the oldest community in the country. And isn't it unique that we're also growing at the same time? Other communities in Massachusetts have stopped, but not Plymouth. We have a number of great challenges that I think we're going to be meeting head on. Plymouth is so desirable. People want to come here. We have problems. There are things that have to be done. Everything isn't perfect. But I think we have a combination of citizens that want to work on this, that want to come up with new ideas. And what's been happening in the last few years is extremely encouraging. I feel that I have the time and I can put the effort into helping this community grow. Plymouth is on the rise.
Great, thank you. And Kevin, would you like to respond?
Yes, programs and projects on not around Plymouth, I would have to say, because my focus was at my school, just pouring my energy and time into the kids, and it's all a blur. After 30 years, I can't soccer coach and many other things, robotic this and oh yeah, the trebuchets, that was great. Mr. Bastoni up at Plymouth North High School is an unbelievable treasure that Plymouth North has. And I've met him, and we're a kindred spirit, and I love him. But going forward, the projects, programs I would like to do, one I've already proposed to the Board of Selectmen a couple of years ago, was to have, and this speaks to tourism, was to have basically, I would say 250 volunteer people getting a vest on and being a Plymouth Town ambassador. Now, that particular idea, and they could answer questions for tourists, take pictures, direct them to here, direct them to there. People would see someone with a vest, and it says, that's a Plymouth Town ambassador. Let me go and ask them. It would be, again, we would be helping enhance the tourism industry. But that idea was buried because it was given to the Plymouth 400, and they said, no, we're not going to do that. That hurt. That hurt me quite a bit. I'm going to propose another program that I think has validity. The Plymouth 400. 400 people volunteering around Plymouth. And the entry fee is 400 pounds of trash that you pick up in Plymouth, plus a $100 yearly fee once you get in there. And then lo and behold, that's $40,000. I'm going to challenge 399 other people to join me. And I'm downtown Plymouth. Come up and talk to me, and you can be part of the Plymouth 400. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to go right into our closing remarks. So each candidate can have 2 minutes for their final remarks. Kevin, would you like to begin, please?
Yes, I have it right here. And I guess the question you want to ask is, what drives me? What motivates me? It's really reading about our founding fathers, not just of the country, but of this town. Again, William Bradford and others. And their history and record of thoughts and deeds should be read by our town officials and as a guide for what we do today. It should motivate them. And the thing that stood out for me once I put that book down was the sacrifice that they exhibited day after day, year after year. They got shafted left and right by the people back in England, but they did not shrink. They stayed. And they did not consider, the leaders did not consider themselves above the people. They had to serve and show by example how to do real sacrifice in both the words and actions. Today, people, okay, should be able to do that. Now, they endured sacrifice collectively. Today, they should be able to put their hand to the plow. And one of those people was a man today, Darrell Scott, who lost his daughter at Columbine. And he had a poem he read to the House Judiciary Committee. He says, your laws ignore our deepest needs. Your words are empty air. You've stripped away our heritage. You've outlawed simple prayer. You've allowed gunshots to fill our classrooms and precious children die. You seek for answers everywhere and ask the question, why? You regulate restrictive laws through legislative creed, and yet you fail to understand that God is what we need. Ladies and gentlemen, there are people today that are willing to sacrifice and get behind people that also can sacrifice and lead Plymouth into a collective future that they're really proud of and people want to come and see. Thank you. Please vote for me Saturday, May 19th.
Thank you, Kevin. Ken, you have 2 minutes for your final.
Thank you. I have been honored to serve as a member of the Board of Selectmen, and I ask for your vote on Saturday, May 19th. I have continually spoken about the challenges facing our community and how we all need to work together in a thoughtful and collaborative manner to address these challenges. I firmly believe that our current Board of Selectmen has done so, and if I am re-elected, I pledge to continue that collaborative approach. Working together as a community, we have made many strides, making this one of the most exciting times to be part of this wonderful town. There is a great vibrancy in our downtown, in our village centers, in our neighborhoods, and in our schools that makes Plymouth the place to be now and in the future. The great diversity of business and neighborhoods is proof positive that we know how to work together for the common good. We may debate the best way to solve a problem, but we will always do so with the best interests of Plymouth in mind. Plymouth has an exciting past, but we have an even more exciting future, that we know how to work together for the common good. I believe that I have the experience, dedication, and commitment to continue to deliver results for the people of Plymouth. I ask for your vote together so that we can continue to make our town of Plymouth a great place to live, work, and play for all. Thank you. Also, I would like to say Governor Bradford's name has been brought up a number of times this evening. He happens to be one of my heroes, and as I remind the members of the board when they come on for the first time, we descend from the chair of Bradford, and there's a lot to live up to. So we do have a real life hero in Plymouth in Governor Bradford.
Gentlemen, thank you for your participation in this forum tonight. We appreciate your time and your willingness to share your views with our viewers and the residents of the town of Plymouth. We wish you luck in your candidacy and in the election. For our viewers, we want to thank you for joining us. If you're interested in watching replays of our forum, please visit our website, pactv.org, for replay times and online viewing options. And please make your choices and your voices heard by voting in the Plymouth town election on May 19th. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. For Bob, myself, the candidates, and all of us at PACTV, thank you for taking the time to join us and learn more about your candidates.